And we are live.
How my nose hurt, you know.
Oh, we did that the whole way through the last interview. My nose just kept running. I was like, welcome, Gemma.
Hi. This is so nice because we've spoken loads via written message, but never face to face on a video call like this. So this is lovely.
And it's so funny. I have so many contacts like you that I've met you online. I know how to get to you in my Instagram messenger, and now I have your email, but I don't have your phone number. So I was going to pick my son up, running late. I'm thinking, I can't even send her a WhatsApp.
That's when you know you've reached the dizzy heights of online friendship to real friendship. But you can have my number, no problem.
Well, if I'd have thought about it, I'd have taken it. But anyway, here we are.
Yes. So
when I asked you if you would do this, you didn't really bat an eyelid, which was wonderful. And I think that I'd had this in mind for quite a while. We were talking about how I first stumbled across you, and I think it was through Shari Teigman, like most people.
It was through Shari, yes.
And we were remembering like a post that you wrote, and I just wanted you to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the post that we discussed.
I can't remember which one it was now, so you might have to remind me.
The one in the title.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I've written that much crap online. I was trying to remember.
We'll get to afterwards. This way.
Yeah. So I'm Gemma. I am 38 and I live in Liverpool in the UK with my smoking hot husband, who doesn't realise he's hot, and my crazy child and my 2 crazy dogs. And I pay the mortgage in a few different ways. I am a radio presenter. I have written a book. I've written a second one. And I am a communications coach as well. So if it needs writing, I will do it, from press releases to social media to Tinder banter, you name it. If it's got words, I've been paid to write it. That's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Yeah, I had a look at your website. I know you're planning on like revamping things, but I was looking at what you offer on your website. So that's all still relevant. There's a lot.
Yeah, kind of. The idea is to eventually be able to just write for myself, write books for myself, keep publishing, keep speaking on the back of it. I had a bit of a break from radio and I've gone back into that 10 months ago and I absolutely love it. So just keep doing. Expression is one of my core values. So as long as I'm expressing, I'm all right. I'm happy.
Oh, I love that. That's a good word. I feel like I should write that down.
It took me ages to get to that as well. That was one of Shari's actual exercises. That was I did, oh my goodness, 4.5 years ago now, finding out what your core values were. I hadn't got a clue. I'd never even heard of them.
Yeah, I also did it. I found it hard to begin with because I'd also never really, I don't think most people have, unless you go and do an exercise like that.
Yeah, but it was good because it gave me these 4 words that then I was able to make many decisions off the back of, rather than asking yourself, does something feel good? Because sometimes we might not say yes to opportunities because it might not feel good. But often I find that comes from a place of fear or maybe not feeling good enough. Whereas I was able to kind of go, is this fun? Does it mean I can express? Is it truthful? And is it positive? And if it ticked those boxes, then it's usually something that you can say right to. And also on the flip side of it, if something was feeling a bit out of line and a bit, I was able to go, oh, well, it's not ticking these core values of mine. That's why it doesn't feel great. And being able to have the courage to let things go. So it's been amazing that, learning that exercise has been awesome.
I used to have them written in the front of my journal in a triangle. I picked 3 values and I had to keep looking at them. What are my values? I can't remember. I couldn't reel them off.
I couldn't at first. It took me a few years, a couple of years to kind of get used to them. But it does help. It does help everything really.
It stops you from taking on things that I talked about this, God knows when, I don't know. That knowing the difference between growth and being just way out of your, not even out of comfort zone. Getting out of your comfort zone is okay as long as you don't feel like it's out of your depth. And it's just, I've taken on work a few times where I've got there and thought, that funny feeling I had, this is why.
This is why. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That gut feeling is always right. And I think in these times of a global pandemic, it's really easy to when you've got work maybe coming to an end, or regular clients reducing their usual workload with you and what you expect to get paid, it's really easy to kind of be the yes person and go, yeah, I'll do that, and grab at extra things for more income, when actually, if that's going to cause you, like you say, stunting your growth in the long term, is it right to do that? Obviously, everybody's got to survive, everybody's got to pay their bills. But I've had to do that actually in lockdown. I've said no to a couple of things because I knew in my heart of hearts it wasn't right and isn't on the plan and the path that I want to take.
Yeah. It's very empowering. I hate using all these words because they're so kind of douchey, but yeah, it is really, really empowering once you know. I took on something a few years ago and I only managed to do it for a week. And by day 3, I was having gin and tonic at 10 in the morning.
Yeah, so that's a sign that you know it's not right.
I'd take a gin and tonic and say, okay, on we go. And I can't do that. That's not sustainable. It's not healthy.
No. It's not good if you're going to pick your kids up in the afternoon sloshed at school.
So, sidetracking a little bit, we did. Where were we? Oh, yeah, I was asking you about, so that's what you do.
That's what I do.
Let's delve into a little bit of what it says in the title about your healing process after a breakdown, like what you call breakdown, what triggered it. Off you go.
I think actually that was relevant because I joined a program that Shari was like Shari Teigman was the mindset coach as part of a program, and it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. I'd also hired another couple of coaches for the first time ever who wasn't Shari. So all of a sudden I'd gone from being regular person, 9-to-5 job, kid, husband, to I'm going to go and jump into this self-development work. Yeah. And learning things like my core values made me realize a lot of my life was completely out of line. Just wasn't who I was at all. I've always had a reputation of being the person who sits on the fence. I think coming from a broadcast journalist background, you have to find both sides to every story. You've got to be balanced. You can't just run with what you think is right. You've got to get both sides of the story whenever you're on air, whenever you're in a role that's quite important like that, where you are the voice of something, you have to have a balanced view. And I used to get called Ron Seal because I used to sit on the fence. Or UN, that was another one of my nicknames. And that was a part of who that I was. And unfortunately, in my own life, and I feel a bit guilty when I tell this story. So I grew up and my mum and biological father split. My mum left. We lived in Spain. She left in the middle of the night. She'd had enough. And he was pretty much estranged from us for 30 years. He only lived down the road, but never made contact, never got in touch. My mum remarried when I was 7 to the most wonderful guy who is my dad. He is my dad through and through, And so I get a bit of guilt when I tell this story. But I'd started this coaching. I'd learned my core values. I'd realized that one of the things that makes me me is being able to see the other side of a story. And I felt like my biological father's story was right in my face. And I'd never seen it from his perspective. And I'd never given him the opportunity to get to know me. And so I decided I was going to go and find him and forgive him so that I could forgive myself and just let all of that hatred go. Because for 30 years, I had hated this person to the very core of my being. The even mere mention of his name would make me scrunch my fists up. I was angry. I would grind my teeth. I never called him his name. He was called sperm donor or all expletives under the sun. So I knew this didn't feel right because obviously there's another side to the story. And actually, in actively practicing gratitude, I realized that his absence had allowed me, my mum and my sisters to live a normal family life without having to spend weekends as a fractured family unit. My dad, my stepdad, who adopted us, and I took his name, we were able to be a proper family unit because my dad had left us alone. My biological father had left us alone. But there was always that, why don't you want me? Why are you not proud of me? Why have you never been asked to get in touch? There was always that horrible niggly feeling eating away at me. So I was like, I've got to get rid of this, and I have to go and forgive his absence to forgive myself of things that I do. So I found him on Facebook, like you do, and just sent him a message. Hi, Tony, can I come and see you sometime? And that's all I wrote. And I waited for that blue tick to change to his face to show that he'd read it. And in the meantime, waiting for that answer, regressed into 5-year-old me again. Oh, he's not coming. You know, he's left. That's it. He's not coming back. And unfortunately, I never got the chance to see him in person because he died a week later. And whether you believe in it or not, somebody suggested that I go and see a medium locally to me, and she gave me a lot of answers that I needed. There were things that she told me that she could not have known. She gave me full names. She told me that she knew he knew he was ready. I was ready to forgive him. That's why he was able to go.
Oh my gosh.
She gave me nicknames that he called me that my mum couldn't confirm, because it was very, very difficult for my mum to even talk about this. It brought up a lot for my mum when this happened. And then at his funeral, I publicly declared my forgiveness of him at his graveside. I dragged my sister to the graveside as they lowered the coffin in and said, for everything you chose to miss, we choose to rewrite our histories with love and forgiveness. We are grateful you gave us life. May you rest in peace. And I threw this letter in that I'd written. And it was, in fact, I've got it somewhere. It just said a new chapter. That was all it was. And it was a letter that I'd written to him to declare my forgiveness, but also to forgive myself for lots of silly things that I'd done. And really stupid things that I'd carried into my adulthood, like I was newly self-employed and couldn't invoice people. I felt sick invoicing people, asking for money. Because, and to be fair to my mum, it had only been said a couple of times, but you can't do X, Y, or Z because he's never paid a penny towards you. That was the phrase, and it was only used a couple of times by my mum, but I held on to that, and that teaches you you're not worth paying for. You're not valuable. And it had got to the point where I was having anxiety attacks about invoicing, and that was before he died. So at his funeral, when I declared my forgiveness, I felt very empowered. We use that crap word again, but I did. I felt very empowered. I felt like I'd got closure. I felt like it was ready. That door was closed. That was done. Time to crack on. And the next day, I just broke. I just absolutely broke. And it was a Tuesday morning. My son was supposed to be at school, and I remember getting up. And my husband leaves a lot earlier than me. And I remember getting up out of bed and just saying to him, "Please, can you take him? I can't do it. I can't do it. Please, can you take him?" And he was like, "Come on, it's fine. You know, we've got to get through this together." And I was like, "No, please, I can't do it. I can't do it." And I slid down the wall, and I was banging my head against the wall. And I wanted my head to crack open. That's all I wanted. I wanted all of the thoughts, all the pain, all the regret, all the things I couldn't change that I wanted to. The past 30 years of shite, I just wanted it out of my head. And my husband literally picked me up and held me. And he was my absolute rock throughout all of this. And he was like, "I'll take him today, but we've got to get through this. You know, we've got to do this." And I think for the next 3 or 4 months, I was literally in a daze. And I hear other people talking about their breakdowns, and they say they just went to bed for days or weeks and never got up. And I couldn't do that. I had a little boy who was 5 who had to go to school.
Yeah.
And there wasn't an option. My husband left earlier than me. There wasn't an option for me to lie in bed. And in a way, I'm really glad and grateful for that. But in another way, I think I probably needed to retreat for a little bit, and I didn't give myself that space and time. But what I did do is I did turn to people like Shari and coaching. And I feel like I broke into a million pieces, but I was able to examine every single piece before I decided whether I was putting it and fixing it and gluing it back.
Oh, yeah, whether it deserves to come back or not.
Yeah. And I worked with a number of coaches. Some were incredible. Shari, phenomenal person. You know, so grateful to Shari. She gave me that space to break. I literally broke as well live in a Facebook group. I'd never done anything like that before. I look back now and cringe and think, oh, geez, that must have been horrific for people to watch, because it was like a proper voyeur scenario. But through coaching and through understanding who I was just able to become a lot more self-aware and decide what was right for me moving forwards. I'd learnt these 4 core values, like I was saying, and I had to make sure everything lined up with those core values. It's not been easy. It's a constant process. It doesn't go away. In the same way that if you get really muscly or toned by going to the gym, you've got to keep going, otherwise you lose your muscles and you lose your biceps. Right. With your mental health, I feel that I still have to do those things and put those things in place for me to keep me performing and feeling and thinking at my ultimate best. And that's been really, really important over the last 4 years. And it's really like stupid, wanky stuff. Like, I have to drink 3 litres of water a day. I have to journal and get things out of my head. I love oracle cards. Shuffling oracle cards and picking oracle cards. Love it. Absolutely love it. Don't care what anybody else thinks. I will touch my crystals. I will put them to charge by the moonlight. I will go walk on the grass with barefoot and try and avoid the dog crap and pray to the moon. But that makes me. That hashtag spiritual bollocks is a part of who I am. And
I love that.
And it's part of my. I've realised through this process that I am actually an introverted extrovert.
Oh, okay.
Loud.
Isn't that called an ambivert?
No idea. I just know I'm loud and annoying. But actually, I am probably most happiest when I'm on my own. Don't get me wrong. The moments with my son and my husband are pure bliss and joy. But when I give myself that space and time to just be on my own is vitally important. And I think I can look back on my life before my breakdown and realise I never gave myself a minute of silence.
Oh God, yeah.
I just people pleased for everybody else and did what I thought everybody else wanted me to do and thought in the way that everybody else wanted me to think. And when I've had that moment to go, what do I, and that's where the core values again comes into it. What do I actually stand for? What do I believe in? What am I passionate about? And that's
it's something that a lot of people say, that they find it easier to focus on something external, then you don't have to deal with your stuff. I mean, I find that I think as mothers, we do that a lot. Like, I will easily go shopping for my kids. And when I finally go buy clothes for myself, it's the most exciting experience. It's like, why? Why do I do that?
Yeah. We do. We do put ourselves last on the shelf. Our needs are last. But then I sometimes think, I know we all say fit your own oxygen mask first, you should put your own needs first, but actually, a part of me is a bit like, I need to do that because that makes me a mum. I actually get joy from that. So that's what I mean about having that space and time to just be is really important. And one of the things we did, so we've renovated our house, and one of the things we did, and bless my husband for allowing me to do this. This is our spare room, but it's not. It's my room. It's my woman cave for my weird and wonderful hippie shite. And this is my retreat. This is where I come to lie on that bed and read my books or write something or journal. And Sean, my husband, doesn't have a room that he's able to retreat to. My son doesn't have a room that he's able to retreat to. But I think we identified early on that I needed that. I needed a space where I could shut the door and just drown out the thoughts and the noise. And that was really important. So, yeah, I'm very lucky. Very, very lucky.
You were saying that it's a bit of a, you didn't say it was a blur. You said you were kind of walking around in a daze for a long time. I think that's the word you used.
Yeah, for about 3 or 4 months. So this happened in November 2016. And my immediate reaction was to quit everything.
Yeah.
So the day I sent the message to my biological father to say I wanted to connect, I had a band rehearsal that night. I'd been in a soul band for 20 years and I quit that night. I just was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I'd actually helped develop a company, a business that I'd been working on for free for 18 months, working my arse off. And they were due to launch on the 28th of November. And on the 5th of November, I walked away. So, yeah, I did. And that was like, oh my goodness, this is just, what am I doing? And then I'd been working for a business where I hadn't yet invoiced. I talked about not being able to invoice. I hadn't yet invoiced them, and I've been working for them for 4 months. And they owed me about $7,000, and I just walked away. Ghosted them, never invoiced them.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. And then I did get an email a few weeks later from the boss to tell me how crap and shit I was. And I replied and said, I absolutely agree with everything that you said.
Yeah.
And I've not invoiced you. I wish you well. And it's not something I'm proud of. Like, I didn't want to leave them in the lurch, but I just didn't understand how to process my own feelings and my own thoughts at that time, let alone try and be strategic and work for somebody else. So I literally kept the bare minimum clients going at that time. My husband was incredibly supportive, and just focused my efforts into trying to feel and get a little bit better. My husband did go on a golfing holiday a week after my biological father's funeral, and while he was on holiday I sold the house.
Oh my god.
Which kind of,
how did that go down?
By that point he just knows what I'm like.
Oh, you're a lucky one.
He was just like, oh Jesus. So we came to look at this house, and I'll never forget, he was just like, what are we doing? Oh my God, what are we doing? I could see like the stress, but actually, do you know what? It paid off. It absolutely paid off. We lived in a caravan for a year on the garden. We took it back to brick. We almost bankrupted ourselves.
Excellent.
Sean collapsed with the stress a couple of times. It was very stressful, but it all worked out for the best. It paid off.
Oh my God, every time I see you out for your like morning walks with the dog or your son out, I'm like, oh, living the life I want to live. It's so beautiful.
We are
so beautiful.
Yeah, we are. But interestingly, so when my biological father died and I went to see the medium, that morning, me being me, so he's been dead 48 hours. My head is up my arse. And that morning, I'm sat in bed. I'm like looking on Rightmove. And I'm saying to Sean, right, let's downsize. We're going to take the money. We're going to get a camper van. Let's go around the world. Look at these houses over there. We could probably sell ours, end up in profit. And he was just like, oh, shut up, please shut up. So I go to this reading and sit there. And the medium, she's got nothing, but she's like this. She goes, you don't need to downsize. You know where you need to move. You know where you need to move. It's the White House on the Lane of Laughter. And
what?
Yeah, so I'd looked at this house in the August. This is the November, and it had been sold. As far as I knew, it had been sold. I'd just gone freelance. It wasn't a possibility. My financial advisor's words were, you effing idiot. If you'd have done this 3 months ago when you had pay slips, you might have had a chance, but there's no effing chance, so get it out your head. Should say we're very close to him. He's been dealing with my absolute crap for the last 12 years. So he knows what I'm like. So to be fair, when I sold the house and I went, Steve, oh, Jesus Christ.
I didn't think.
Yeah. So we got to this house. I started conversations with the estate agent, and then I got a phone call to say it had been sold. So after this reading, months later, I thought, I'd not put two and two together. She told me that I didn't need to downsize. And I thought to myself, oh, let's go and have a look down where the White House is and see, because I was expecting to see scaffolding up and them doing, because it needed a lot doing to it. And when we drove down the lane, the for sale sign was back up. And I was like, oh, that's weird, because it had definitely come down, because I've been down this lane a couple of times. So I rang the estate agent and I was like, oh, the White House down the lane. And she said, oh, fell through last week. It's back on the market.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh. So, Sean, let's go. So I was really naughty. I arranged a viewing on my birthday on purpose, because I'm a manipulative little
tiny
cow.
bit manipulative, yes.
And walking outside, holding on to him like, this would be the most amazing birthday present ever. so yeah, because the sale had fallen through and they were keen to sell, we got it for a decent price, and we had the money to do it up. Also, we thought, because if you've ever seen Grand Designs, you should always double the budget. And usually somebody gets pregnant.
God,
Thank
no.
goodness I didn't have a second kid. So, but no,
Did
we're
you
in it
start
now.
off with 2 dogs? Did you bring in an extra dog instead?
No, we've only just the 2. I was petrified of dogs. I grew up completely in fear of dogs.
Wow.
To the point of panic attack if a dog ever came near me, wanting to throw up at the smell of them. And then my husband one day, 9 years ago, said, the only way you're going to get over this is if we get a dog. And now I've got 2. My sister got pregnant and Sean said we couldn't have another baby. So I bought Kevin in the middle of the night off a dog website.
As you do.
It was the biggest mistake of my life.
All the worst decisions are made from online midnight buying.
Do you know what? That dog, honestly, I mean, you've seen the stuff that I post. So Kevin is a Chihuahua crossed with a pug. And he's an absolute asshat. He's a nightmare, but I love him so much, really.
I can't even remember.
No, but you know what? Walking the dogs, right, is a great example of I have overcome a fear.
Right.
They're a constant reminder of, at one point in my life, I couldn't have had dogs at all.
Right. And you probably said never.
Oh, I was just terrified, absolutely terrified. But now, they're my little family.
It's amazing. Like, there's so many things. And I hope I managed to teach this to my kids that, like, just never say never. There's no point saying it because you just don't know. Like, I've done things that I never thought I would do. Where should we start? Jumped out of an aeroplane, climbed Kilimanjaro, learned to be a swimming instructor, set up my own business, public speaking, doing this. I mean, I was so painfully shy. Like, anyone that knows me from my childhood, I just had this thing about being seen. Just don't look at me. Like, on my wedding day, I suddenly had a panic attack because I realized people were going to be looking at me. My mum was like, yeah, you'll be the one in the white dress walking down the aisle. It's kind of noticeable. I don't want anyone to look at me. That's such an issue. And not wanting people to look at you kind of creeps into lots of different areas of your life.
Massively. Hugely. And you should be really proud.
Oh, I am. I'm in shock. Like, I'm like, I can't believe how far I've come. What next?
What is next?
I don't know. I think, I ran a 2-day online course. It wasn't ready like I wanted it to be. It wasn't perfect, but we just did it and it was fun and people engaged and they learned a lot. And I can see what it needs to be. So I definitely want to be able to have one of these evergreen courses where you can make money in your sleep.
Oh, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So I'm looking into, like, what does it take? What does it take to make money in your sleep? Don't know.
I think we're at a disadvantage straight away because we're women.
In what way?
Because this is me generalizing. I think men they don't worry as much as we do about the judgment.
True.
In my experience of the men that I have worked with and know in the online space compared to the women that I work with and know in the online space, men seem to just be able to not care.
Very much.
We do worry about judgment as women, definitely, and putting yourself out there is really hard. And exactly like you just said, making yourself not wanting to be seen is very difficult when you run a business that has a huge element that's online, because you've got to be seen, you've got to be visible, and you're also visible on your own platforms where your friends and your family and the people who know you in real life are, and you worry mostly about what they're going to say. Yeah.
And it's not just video, it's also writing. I mean, my first love has always been writing. I love it. And I stopped doing it. I mean, I would write for myself, but I stopped putting things online because I was concerned about who was going to see it and what they were going to think of me. You know, my family don't know me in that way, and they've not, heard about these things, all these things that you have in your head that, what did I express yesterday? I don't even remember now. But I got to a point where I just, press the button, release it, and I didn't die. And then, tried again. Yeah. And still didn't die. And then eventually, and it's the same with doing lives. With lives, it had to be a lot more seeing if I would die. Like it took a lot longer.
I think it is hard and it is difficult. And I was somebody who for years had been a radio presenter, not just doing radio, but theatre. So live theatre, live presenting. I did it all the time. Not a care in the world, never got nervous. But after my breakdown, I lost my confidence completely. And in that, I lost my voice as well. And actually, I think I've kind of known what I wanted to say and what I wanted to be about when it comes to business. But it was only until 3 weeks ago, working with your lovely friend, G. Sabini Roberts. And I did their 2-day mastermind and came up with exactly how I wanted my brand to look.
It's spectacular.
And it's silly, but we were talking about this, weren't we, on text on Instagram? What you do with photography and what G does with design is you help people create a visual of how they want to be and how they want to come across in the world. And it's really, really important because it sounds really, really silly, but some new photographs and some new colours and branding shouldn't have the power to do what it has in me, but it has. And it's ignited this right. I'm just going to go for it. And it's given me the boost and the confidence to go for it because the pain of not speaking and never even having a go has become far greater than the pain of, I'm just going to see if it works. I'm just going to give it a try. I've got nothing to lose. You said it there. Nobody's going to die. Yeah. People might disagree with me. People might think, oh, for frig's sake, what's she on about now?
Yeah,
that's what snooze or the unfollow buttons.
Yeah, just move along. I just think if they don't like it, they could just move along, or they could troll me if they want, I guess.
One of my friend's husbands is my worst critic, and he's always commenting on stuff. And eventually, I just had a conversation with him, and I was like, listen, please will you do me a favour? Please will you completely unfollow me? I don't want to block you, but please just completely unfollow me because I don't think you understand the impact that your words have on my confidence. And he was a bit like, oh, right. Oh. And I was like, you have to understand, this is my business. I would never turn up to your place of work and shit on your desk. So please stop doing it for me.
Oh, I love that. Good for you. That's a great analogy.
I just had enough of it. I really had. It's like, if you want to have banter with me, troll me on WhatsApp directly. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to do it. It was something that I'd written that was to do with my book. And it was like, mate, stop it. This is my shop window.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, I don't know how much confidence you had before a breakdown, but I think having whatever you want to call it, a breakdown, or I don't even know what I call it, like dark period of my life. When you come out of it, it just, I mean, I'm not saying I recommend it to anyone, but
oh God, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. It's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Right. Yes. Exactly that. Like, wouldn't wish it on anyone, but if it's going to happen, it is possible. And I'm not one of those people that just says, think happy thoughts and everything, have to be positive about everything and everything have a silver lining. That's just not sustainable. No. But with enough distance, like Shari always talks about Brené Brown, she quotes Brené Brown that the wound has to have a scab on it first before you start. You can't start analyzing stuff and even writing about stuff until you've got enough distance. So I saw when I had enough distance from my whatever it was. What was it? It was withdrawal and depression and anxiety and a little bit of agoraphobia mixed in. I suddenly could see my strengths. I could see what I'd survived, and also I managed to remember all the strong things I'd done before it happened. I somehow forgot. I forgot all the cool, exciting, daring stuff that I'd done, and I just became this kind of mess. Like you talk about sliding down the wall. Yeah. I think I just crept into bed. So yeah, being able to look back on it, I kind of wrote myself out a list of things that I learned from it, and lo and behold, having to be in lockdown, I'm using all those skills.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I feel a little bit guilty. I'm loving lockdown. Absolutely loving
Do you
it.
feel like you're cheating because you know what to do?
Yeah,
no, exactly.
I feel like I feel bad for feeling good. I feel like I've been given the greatest gift in breaking down, because I just don't let things bother me anymore. I just don't. And for the first week of lockdown, I could feel that myself starting to just slide, just the knees bent against the wall, around the edges. I could feel it was just
absolutely with you.
And I dropped my son off, and I sat outside school in the car, and I just cried. Excellent. And I let myself cry, and I thought, I'm just going to let myself feel exactly what I'm feeling. That's okay. And I spoke to Laura Powner, who has become a great friend of mine. We met on Sherry's mastermind a couple of years ago, and she always helps me unfuddle my brain, which is amazing. And I realised that I was sad, and I was sad for everybody else, because actually my own reality was, at that point, none of my clients had cancelled on me. My income was still the same. My husband had a job. We were all healthy, but I just felt this oppressive, overwhelming darkness come over me. And I realised that I'm an empath. I was feeling everybody else's hurt and stress. And I've got one particular client who I was really genuinely worried for, because I adore her and what she stands for. And I knew that her business model wouldn't survive lockdown. As it happened, I helped her, and she pivoted. Great wanky word of the lockdown. But she did. And she's done amazingly well with it. But in that first week, I just felt awful for everybody. And I had a little session in my journal, because that's where I get my thoughts out, and realised that I was taking on everybody else's issue. My own reality was that we were cool, we were fine. Thank God we weren't living in a caravan anymore, and everything was going to be awesome. And I heard this phrase this week: we borrow battles that aren't ours.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And it wasn't my battle to fight.
No.
So I then got proactive, set up a community kitchen with the help of some amazing people in my village, and we've been feeding. We've delivered probably nearly 5,000 meals now over the last 7 weeks, and put my energy into sick of feeling helpless. How can I propel this overwhelming sadness into something positive? And that was right. Who needs our help? I've got 2 legs. I've got a brain. I've got communication skills. Let's form a volunteer.
Well, I used to hear stories like that and think, what do they mean? I took that feeling and channeled it into something else. I'd be so literal about it. I couldn't understand the analogy, and it just sounded stupid to me. And I just think, like, the more you do it, the more you understand exactly how that works.
I have this thing where I ask myself a question: can I change it? Whenever I'm feeling, can I change it? And I remember sitting there thinking, no, I can't change everybody else's business horizons and perspective right now. We don't know what's going to happen. But what I can do is I can make a change for those people who are going to need somebody at this time. For those, we knew that the over 70s were going to be shielded in the UK, and they weren't able to go out shopping. So how are they going to get food? And it was utilising the resources of the local pub and the chefs at the local pub to coordinate cooking meals for those elderly in our area that didn't have family. And it's been amazing, absolutely incredible. And I'm so proud that we were all able, in that moment of panic and fear, to go, there's people who are going to need help right now. And it is exactly that. It's using that energy and channeling it for something good, but without, like you say, being all positive. Oh, everything's going to be rosy and happy. That works in some cases, but when there's a real genuine fear, like there still is at that time, you can't stick a plaster over it.
No, you do what you said you did, which is you just sit in your stuff and just acknowledge it and cry and write or don't. And that's the other thing. It's like, you should be doing this. You need to be doing that. And I just kept reading people just writing this. Just stop telling me what I should be doing. I know exactly where I need to be and how. Like, I don't want to be writing War and Peace right now. I want to be doing arts and crafts with my son and watching Love is Blind on Netflix.
Yeah. on the computer, I have Facebook newsfeed eradicator, so I can't see what anybody posts when I'm looking at it on the computer. But unfortunately, on the phone, it still comes up. So actually, over the last 6 weeks, and I don't want anybody to be offended who might know me, I've been unfollowing everybody.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I've done the same. I've unfollowed people.
A while.
Deleted the app about 8 months ago. But, unfollowing is such a healthy thing to do. As soon as anyone writes a post like that, I'm like, right, you're gone now.
I feel guilty about it, but it was interesting. So in the UK, Boris Johnson made his announcement at 7:00 last Sunday, and it was a big one that everybody was waiting for. And oh my goodness, all the posts that came after it just made it easy. Unfollow. But
it was,
it's about reclaiming that brain space for me at the moment. I still need Facebook. I still use it for my work. I use it for our volunteer community kitchen. That's how we converse and talk, because I didn't want to put it onto WhatsApp because I knew it would be too much. So we still converse via a private secret Facebook group. So I still need it for that. But it's quite nice going, you're still there if I want to look at what you're up to and what you're doing. But I am not, because we all end up in a wormhole, don't we?
Yeah, and it's weird because I don't get into such a wormhole with Instagram. I mean, first of all, I have a timer on it, so it's set to half an hour.
How do you do that?
I can't remember where it's in the settings somewhere. I have to look it up. I will investigate.
In my notebook for later.
Investigate. And it tells me this little, and if you talk about feeling guilty, this little egg timer up and says, you have spent 30 minutes on Instagram. I'm like, right, I'm out. Gone.
See, egg timer is I love an egg timer.
It really works for me. And I remember you doing a video about this.
Yeah.
You did a video about timer, right? I don't remember what it was. I just remember that your timer was red. It wasn't silver.
I broke that one. I
don't know why I remember that.
I think this is one of the best things that I have ever invested in. I've got a few of them. I know why you've seen my timer videos, because when I buy one, I like to, in the shop, turn them all to random times and then just stand and watch them go off and watch the confusion. I know I'm a grown woman and I'm a mum and a business owner, but it's absolute pure joy. And if you do them for just within the 5-minute mark, and then just walk away and watch. Oh, it's wonderful. I do it everywhere. Honestly, I do it everywhere. It's just so much fun. No, but I'd had like loads of digital timers, but you just end up turning them off. So when I'm writing, so like yesterday, I wrote a 5,000 word ebook for a client, and I used the timer. And I'd said to myself, right, the maximum is 4 Pomodoros, which is 4 25-minute blocks. And I did it. You can guarantee if I was writing for myself, it would take me 4 days. But this is great because it ticks down. So I quite like it. It's like tick, 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 tick.
Oh, no, that's so stressful. I know that method from Jo Gifford. She taught me that the first time I think I ever came across her. She was just giving some, maybe it was email tips or a video or something, and she was talking about working smarter. And I realized I've been trying to make myself work like 9 till 3. And I started splitting up my day, not just splitting it up like with the Pomodoro, like in terms of like working in 40-minute slots, but also splitting up, okay, this time is for meal prep, when I remember, this time is for exercising. And then after this time, computer needs to be shut. And there's no need, like what the hell, especially now, what on earth do I need to be doing 9 till 3 for?
I've got an alarm that goes off on my watch every day at 5:45, which is the alarm to shut the door on the office. I'm not very good at sticking to it.
Right.
But I'm getting better. I'm really, really getting better. But I think like unfollowing people on social media has been helping that, because I am terrible for ending up in those wormholes. Yeah. I really am. Somebody
I used to end
posted
up in the comments as well, like seeing how people responded to each other in the comments and thinking, oh, aren't people horrible?
Yeah, and I'm just.
Why would you want to fill your head with that?
Bored. Yeah, I'm bored of that. It's not good. And what's really important now is connecting and spending time, like you say, with the kids, with the family. So yeah, that's been good for that.
I mean, you talked about filling it like headspace before. I mean, you talked about banging your head on the wall, and I think we don't realise how much we need to get stuff out of our heads. Like, it's such an obvious thing, really, to say, if you've got stuff going on in your mind, get it down on paper. But there's something magical. For me, it's always pencil and paper, always, before it goes anywhere else. And sometimes I just feel like I'm channeling something. Like, it's just like yesterday I was writing and it's just so effortless. And I felt so much better afterwards as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know why it took so long to discover this. So I'm trying to teach my 7-year-old now about the power of journaling. We've got the little kids version. Best Life, maybe?
Big Life journal.
Something like that.
Yeah, they're great. They're really, really good.
And it's amazing watching him get the hang of it. And each day he has a quote. We have to talk about what that quote means.
I would love it if my son would do this with me. He just
How old is he?
9. He meditates with me, but he lies. He told his dad, be careful, he doesn't know I know this is in the next stream, but he told his dad the only reason why he meditates with me is because he gets extra time at night before bed. I've gone blurred, haven't I?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So, but I've caught him. Like, so we light a candle and I've caught him. He sits there trying to blow the candle out as my eyes are closed. Or he's holding up the crystals to his nipples like this and trying to catch my attention. So, yeah, but I would absolutely love it if he would get into it, but there's no chance. He hates writing. He's a proper boy.
Yeah.
And we've been struggling with homeschooling because his answer for everything is, but you've told me I can be anything I want to if I believe it and wish it hard enough. I want to be a champion motorbike rider. So why do I need Spanish? In case you end up in the Spanish championships. And he was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that'd be really useful to chat with the Spanish girls.
He was doing Henry VIII. He was like, why do I need to know this? I was like, because it's history. It's important. It's his great matter. And he's like, divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. They're all ugly. Is that why he killed them? Because they're all dogs. Can you do that? Can you kill your wife if she's minging? Just like, no.
How do you not laugh?
I do. I just sit there like this, like, oh my god, I have created this monster.
He's fabulous.
No, he is a pure and utter joy. He really is. He really. In fact, like, I know they have to go back to school, but I'll miss him when he goes back to school.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird feeling handing over my little one. I was like, but he didn't look back. He was so excited to see kids. He did not look back.
He's here now. He's earwigging. You okay?
Oh.
Sorry. Yes, you can. Of course you can. Mum's being interviewed. I'm going to take this opportunity to eat all of the snacks and ask for them because I know she'll say yes.
Yeah, just get out. I also loaded my son up with like hot dog and chips. And here's the computer. I unlock the password. Off you go. Go listen. Leave me alone.
Normally we're quite strict around like he plays on the PlayStation Fortnite, and normally we're quite strict around it, but because he's an only child, that's how he's connecting with his friends at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried. If he doesn't want to learn about Henry VIII, go on then. Go and play
I think
Fortnite.
a lot of people have kind of adopted this perspective, and I'm pretty relaxed about school. I feel like they'll get through it, they'll socialize, they'll learn some life skills, and then when the serious stuff kicks in, and then university if they want, then they'll either do it and then embrace it, or they'll go and learn a vocation. Either way, I'm sure that they will find some kind of passion or fill in the gaps that are missing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like they're perfectly capable children, and I was crap at maths in school. And like the essential building blocks that you learn when you're like 10 or 11, it just didn't happen for me. And I've got by. Whatever, I run a business and I know how to calculate 10%, and I'm fine.
I think at this point as well, their mental health and their emotional well-being is the priority.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I think a lot more people understand how important mental health is now. It's not like this cool let's all talk about mental health. Like, no, that's just not it. It's not let's have a conversation. It's understand that everyone needs to be thinking about it for themselves, not just, let's have pity for these people who have mental health issues and pat them on the head. It's all of us. We all have to do it.
I think I have to hold my hands up, and before I had my own breakdown, I didn't get it.
Right.
I thought people were making it up.
Yeah. Get over it.
Get over it. Please, socks up. What
Pull yourself together.
What have you got to be miserable about?
Stop dwelling. You've got a nice life. Yeah.
Just think of the positives. You know, I was that asshole. I really was. And then all of a sudden, when I broke, and it was like, why can't I think straight?
Yeah.
Why is my heart racing and I feel like I'm going to throw up? You know, the panic attacks. Oh my God, where do they come from? And you feel like you're dying.
Yeah. Well, how did you get past all the physical feelings?
I'd had one panic attack before, the day before I got married in 2008. But at the time, didn't know it was a panic attack. I honestly thought something was wrong with like a heart attack or a stroke. And it was only years later when I started having panic attacks as my mental health started to decline. It was like, oh, that's what was happening back then. And actually that day, the day before my wedding, was probably one of the most stressful days of my life. I understand now. And I think it was when it was happening, my husband was amazing when I was having panic attacks, but it was being able to, as I was deep breathing, thinking, what am I scared of? What am I actually scared of right now? And you know what most of the time was the cause of the panic attacks? Was other people's perceived judgment in my head that wasn't even true. I was just making up a story. Right.
But they can be so real. It's frightening how real they become. Yeah. And it's impossible to tell the difference between the story and the reality, I think.
Yeah. I had one, like I had a few around 4.5 years ago. And then it was this time last year. Yeah. And we needed to remortgage to pay back the loans that we got for renovating the house. And we needed a certain valuation on the property. And without getting expert opinion and advice of what do we need to do to bring it up to this value, we just ploughed on with what we thought was right, which is a great example of why you should always ask an expert, get expert help rather than trying to figure it out in your own head. And we had to get the house. Well, Sean was like, we need to get the house painted. I hate painting. I'm literally the worst painter in the world. I can't bear it. And he was out working all weekend and he'd left me to do it. And I remember trying to paint the hall stairs and landing ceiling. And I had a ladder across, balanced precociously with just one like an angle, and it was like I was doing some trapeze acrobat move. And I remember thinking, if I slip, that's it.
Yeah.
If I slip, I'm done. I'm gone.
But you carried on painting?
Well, no, I ended up, he came home and I just lost it. Ended up on the floor having a pure wobble, panic attack, with him holding my hands going, it's only paint. I was like, I know. But that panic was oh my goodness, we need to get this place finished, because if we don't get that remortgage, what are we going to do? Oh, we're not going to be able to pay family back. It was that whole, oh my goodness, so much is riding on this. And yeah, annoyingly, we were absolutely fine. He literally came in 2 days later and walked in every room. He was here about 10 minutes and was like, yeah, fine, happy with everything. And the relief was incredible, absolutely amazing. But it makes you look back and go, what was I even stressed about? But at that time, I think and in that moment, you can't control it sometimes.
Yeah, and I think it's very difficult to explain to people that haven't been through it. I made my husband read, am I going to forget his name now? Matt Haig.
Oh, Reasons to Stay Alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, I get it. It's like, he's got annoying lists of things, but I get it. Oh, I know, I loved his lists. I've not
read it, actually.
Oh, I highly recommend.
What's the other one that was good? Oh, it's not up there now. Johann Hari, Lost Connections. That was good.
Oh, yes, I've had that recommended to me.
Yeah, that was very, very good, actually. Really good.
And Bryony Gordon has written a few books, but I read her book called Mad Girl, which is her story of mental breakdown plus eating disorders. It's absolutely fascinating.
Write that down. Mad Girl.
That's my recommendation.
Thank you.
I have to go and sort my son out now, because we've been on for almost an hour and I've got really hot ears. I borrowed his gaming headphones in the hope that it would make the audio better.
You look the part. Thank you. No, thank you. It's good. It's nice. Because actually, one of the best things about healing from a breakdown was talking about it.
Yeah.
Openly and honestly. And that's why I do speak about it, because often people who know me personally are like, what, you? Depressed? Anxiety? Mental health? What? Really? And I will say this, I've stopped drinking, and I've got rid of my anxiety because I've stopped drinking. And I'm not here to preach about an alcohol-free life to anybody, but that has worked for me. Absolutely worked for me.
Wow.
So,
am I still allowed my like 1 gin and tonic a week, do you think?
To be honest, it's a personal journey, but for me, I did 10 weeks, November to January, just gone, where I didn't drink and was like, oh, my anxiety's gone. This is quite strange. And then January to February pretty much became an alcoholic again.
I didn't think you were going to say that.
Hey, my challenge is over. I've not drank for 10 weeks. Now I'm going to drink everything. And it culminated in a weekend in Barcelona where I steal things when I'm drunk. So I was trying to steal light fittings from a bar. I had a spatula out of a jug of sangria and I was hitting people with it. I had my own one-man band going on all the light fittings in this bar. And I just woke up the next day with that anxiety. Like, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done?
What did I do?
And then the next day I was like, I'm done. And I signed up to 1 year no beer. And I'm about 85 days in now. But again, my anxiety's gone again.
How crazy.
Completely. Yeah. Yeah. So for anybody watching, we're talking about mental health. It's not for everybody. No judgment on anybody else, but it's worked for me. I wanted to share it. I think it would be wrong of me to not share that because it's been so powerful and worked for me. Yeah.
I was talking to Sherry on Monday about, I said, how do we end this? She said, so I think there's a button you press. I said, no, what's a graceful way to end an interview? That's what I meant. So what do you think?
Well, other people might have a question, so you could have the same question that you ask people.
And I didn't ask you where people can find you. Forgot that bit. So where can we find you?
Well, hopefully it's online now. GemmaRay.com. I have got gemmaray.co.uk. That's my old website. But the new website with my brand new sexy branding is gemmaray.com. And my first book, Self-Discipline, is on Amazon. Just search Gemma Ray, Self-Discipline. And my next one, which is called Stop Procrastinating, Start Living, should hopefully be out within the next 2 weeks. Once I've pulled my finger out my arse and stopped procrastinating.
Stop procrastinating, get that book ready. Yes. Okay, so we are ending this broadcast. I hope that I can. Pleasure. Thank you for coming. Bye.
Bye.